Alright, so in this demonstration we're picking up where we left off, and if we decided, let's say that we wanted to make the color of this woman's glasses, let's blow it up a little bit, we wanted to make her glasses a different color, then what we can do is we can use the Quick Mask tool to really quickly make a selection of these glasses instead of having to use some of these traditional tools like the lasso marquee tools and so on. We can actually jump into Quick Mask and use paintbrush tools as well. So Quick Mask is right here. And first of all, the other thing too that you'll need to notice is that as of right now, what I have is I've got the mask selected. You see how it's outlined in the thumbnail over here. I want to make sure that I'm, by the way, selecting the pixels. All right, so now you can see that outlined over here in the layer mask. So I'm going to jump down here, and in the tool panel there is a little button that's got like a rectangle with a dotted circular object inside of it. That is called Quick Mask Mode, and when you click on it, it turns into what looks like a block out, like a white reversal knockout. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to draw a quick mask. And so to do that, I want to take a paintbrush. And by the way, you can use any painting tool, like you can use a gradient, for instance. You can use the paint bucket. Basically, it's behaving like a fill, and you want to make sure. Right now, I've got my foreground set to the black color, and I'm going to lower my brush size. Okay. The other thing too that I want to do is I want to come up here and I want to adjust the hardness so that it's a hard edge. And the reason for that is that whenever I am able to get inside of here, the edges will be nice and crisp. Okay, so I can come in with my quick mask, and I want to be really careful, and I want to actually lower my brush size a little bit more, and I want to come in here and I can paint. Now the other thing too that you can do, I can do this like really quickly, and the thing that's kind of nice about like in here, is that being able to have a brush is kind of a nice thing to do. But the other thing I can do is I can take my, for instance, lasso tool. If I have a straight line and I want to make sure that I stay within the boundaries of that straight line, I can come over here and I can actually actually it's very slightly curved, to be honest. It's not perfectly straight, but it's mostly straight. And so I can come in here and I could, start to draw my straight line. And what this is going to do is it'll allow me to keep within a selection. Then I can always go back later and I can adjust it. But the thing that's nice about this is that I can, at least for now, somewhat, go a little bit faster whenever I'm making my selection. And you might look at this and go, well, wait, doesn't this defeat the purpose of doing a quick mask? And I would say that no, it does not. All right, so I'm going to take my brush, and then now you can see that it won't brush outside, even though I've got my brush outside the selection. All right, but you can see very clearly that it allows me to do that really fast. And then now if I want to come up here, I can deselect, and you can see that it's a nice crisp edge. But I might not want it so crisp along here on the hairline edge. This is where, I might want to come over here and adjust the hardness a little bit so that it's a little bit softer, and I can soften that edge up, and I can lower my brush size a little bit, and then I can kind of come in here and be a little bit more generous with my selection. Okay, and then zoom back out, and then if I come back over in this area, I can start to get a little bit more detail as well, and I'm going to turn the hardness back up again, and let's take my brush edge right there, and then now that I've got this blown up, I can have a little bit more finesse over the things that I'm actually starting to touch. So I wanted to show you kind of like how you can have an approach of doing using a combination of tools while you're trying to achieve one result in the end. All right, and so here I'm gonna just keep getting inside this, and I don't want to get the glass part of the glasses because that doesn't have any color, and I don't want to artificially change the color, because the color behind that is the skin, and I don't want the skin to sort of artificially look changed or adjusted. Okay, so let's go in here. I'll just keep on painting this area until I get it, and this is, you know, pretty much what you would do as well, right? And then I'm going to lower my brush size again a little bit. Actually, I'll blow that back up again. Lower my brush size again so I can come up in here, in this area, with confidence that I'm not going to overstretch my selection. And I'll come down here, and then I need to lower my brush. And by the way, when I lower my brush, I'm just using the square bracket keys to do that. You can also use your mouse. I talked about this before. But anyway, it's up to you how you want to quickly adjust your brush size. You can also always go up to the brush panel, but it just takes a lot longer. It's less efficient when you do that. Okay, so I think I've got, yeah, it's a pretty decent selection. And then I want to make sure also up here I've got those pixels. I think I do. All right, and let's just take a look at how that is going to, how it's going to look. So now if I get out of quick mask mode, you'll see that it has selection edges made for me, which is pretty nice. Now, one of the things that I would suggest that you do is save that selection. But before we do that, real quickly, I want to show you something. If I zoom back out, look what's going on. I have the glasses selected, or at least it seems, but then look, I have this other selection on the exterior. What my selection actually did whenever I selected that was it selected basically the inverse of what I want it to do. If I actually want to affect the glasses, now I have to flip this selection into the inverse, because what it was doing is it was knocking out anything that I didn't want to affect. Well, now I need to flip it. It was easier for me to just isolate the glasses and then go back and do an inverse of it, because right now if I were to, for instance, if I were to add an adjustment layer, let's just do that really quickly. Let me just show you really quick. I'll add an adjustment layer. Let's add a hue saturation. And if I start to shift the color, look, it's actually affecting everything except for the glasses. So what you need to remember is when you jump into quick mask mode, depending on what it is that you're actually trying to select, I'm going to jump to history, by the way, and undo that. Depending on what you're trying to select, it's actually, you know, not always the exact selection that you want. You might need to flip the inverse. So what I'll do is I'll go up here to select and I'll say inverse, and then now you'll see that I don't have the marching ants around the border. I just have it actually on the glass frame itself. So what I'll do then is I want to save that selection. I'll go here to select, and then I'll say save selection, and I'll call this glasses. And I like doing this you know, in the event that, you know, later I make some modifications or I throw away a layer or something that has a layer mask and I want to go back to having it. At least if I intentionally save my selection, it'll actually get saved over here in the channels panel. And you see here I've got glasses, and it shows me if I wanted to work on this again later, I could, right? And so whenever I do that, I turn that on, it isolates everything. So if I turn these guys off, you can start to see the mask, okay? So anyway, I'll get out of channels, and actually, let's turn that off. And what I want to do now is, now that I've got this selection made, what I want to do is I want to actually add an adjustment layer at this point, because I like that I've got just the glasses and not everything else. So let's do an adjustment layer that's hue saturation, and it adds it on top. And you'll notice because I had my selection made, it automatically applied that mask so that it won't affect the entire layer and everything beneath it. It'll just affect where the glasses are. So I don't want to click colorize. A lot of times people will choose colorize, and what colorize does is it basically, you see it desaturates it, but then it adds a single color, whatever this color happens to be. I don't want to do that. I don't want to colorize it because I don't want to take all the different variations of different color that's actually in there. I just want to shift where the color is. So I don't want to click on colorize, which will make it monotone. I'm going to actually shift it this way and just make the tone different. All right, and so I think in the you know, in the book it makes the glasses green. You can make it whatever color you want. You know, it's up to you. Okay, so if you want to just sort of stick with that, you can kind of make them this sort of chartreusey color. All right, so they look like that, whatever. Okay, and so that's how you can actually make a really quick mask using some, you know, easy to use paintbrush tools, especially if you have a tablet. Like if you're using a pen and tablet and it's something that feels really natural, it's going to be able to, you know, like writing with a pencil or drawing with a brush or something, you'll be able to actually get really good, fine, controlled, quick masks. Okay, so yeah, that's how you can make your quick masks and start to understand like how stuff gets saved in the channels for later use. Okay, we're going to move on next to how you could actually change the orientation of this woman's head so that she's sort of looking up a little bit, and instead of having that sort of slumped look that she's got now. And we'll use puppet work to do that in the next video.